Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Michael Short. Well, we have reached out to the president of the Coal Association of Canada, Robin Campbell, to sit down via Zoom and talk a little bit about the mining situation along the Eastern Slopes. I thought it was important to at least get the perspective of the coal industry, and I do want to be clear that I focus on the environmental, the fish habitat question. We don't delve into jobs, the need for coal. I think those are subjects better dealt with someone a lot smarter than me. So keep that in mind. The other thing I want you to bear in mind is that a little bit later on, we will have some reaction to what is happening along the Eastern Slopes by one of the organizations that's probably most affected by it, and that is the Old Man Watershed Council. So we will have some reaction from them coming up in the next few days, so stand by for that. In the meantime, here is my conversation with Robin Campbell of the Coal Association of Canada. Robin, I guess first off, what can you tell us by way of what is moving forward, where it's located, and maybe what's not moving forward?
Well, right now, I think, of course, Grassy Mountain's moving forward. I mean, it's in the joint panel hearings right now. They should be concluded, I hope, sometime this month. You've got Tent Mountain, which is Mountain Resources, moving ahead, doing a lot of exploration drilling on the old Tent Mountain mine site. You've got Atrum Coal that is raising money and done some exploration drilling. You've also got Cabin Ridge down in that area. And then up towards Rocky Mountain House, you've got Ram River that has done a lot of work as far as exploration drilling and, meeting with the community and talking to First Nations and, getting their impact benefit agreements in place and, talking about job opportunities and what that's going to look like for the region. So I would suggest that we probably have, I would say, 4 or 5 that are probably looking forward to going ahead.
So what role does your association, the Coal Association of Canada, play in all of this, Robin?
Well, I mean, we'll talk to various government officials. We'll make sure that our members are up to date on what's going on. We talk to community members. We just promote the industry. Wherever we're needed, wherever our members ask us to be involved, and we work with our members, moving the process forward.
So obviously, there's some big questions out there right now, and I guess to start that conversation, we're looking at bull trout, Athabasca trout that are on the threatened species list here in Alberta, as you're well aware. What is being done to mitigate any negative impact to those species, and what kind of rules does the industry have to follow? Is that with Alberta Environment? Is it with DFO? Talk a little bit about that relationship.
Well, I think what will happen is, of course, you've got the hearings going on. So the panel will listen to what the coal industry's plan is to mine an area. They'll decide whether or not anything has to be mitigated. Within that plan, then the companies will work with DFO, would work with Alberta Environment on the issues that have been raised by the panel. We've taken a little bit more proactive approach where we've approached Alberta Environment for the companies down in Southwest Alberta want to be involved in making sure that the fisheries survive. We want to make sure that we have good water quality. So we've approached the Alberta government to be involved with them. We're looking at, the point where we'd look at hiring biologists that would work for the companies, that would liaison with the federal and provincial government. One of the things that I've talked about is we'd like to set up a relationship with the First Nations, where we'd like to take young First Nation students and have them work towards becoming biologists and working in those watersheds. So we want to make sure that the watersheds are healthy. we want to make sure that the fish populations are healthy. That's going to take more than just what we do. I think that this is a bigger conversation with Alberta Environment. You've mentioned it a couple of times in some of your interviews, Michael. We're seeing unprecedented fishing in this province because of the pandemic. I mean, fishing licenses are up tremendously. I was just talking to a good friend of mine last night down in central Alberta. And he was saying he doesn't even go out ice fishing because, you're sitting 20 feet from another tent and there's snowmobiles running back and forth. So because people aren't working, people are out looking for different recreational opportunities. Right now, ice fishing is very popular. Some of it's people are putting meat on the table. Some of it is it's just people like to go out and be on the ice. So, there has to be a conversation with the Alberta government about licensing, about use on the rivers. Because again, people saying, well, the coal mine is going to destroy the rivers. I disagree with that. I would suggest that the rivers are in trouble already. And I think that we have to sit down and have that conversation. So
are you suggesting then that there be a limit to anglers on the Eastern Slope streams?
Well, I think, we're going to have to look at all of this. I think we're going to have to look at, guides coming in from other jurisdictions. For example, guides coming in from BC, guides coming from Montana. I can't go and guide in BC or Montana. Why are we letting them come in? So that's, it's putting more pressure on our streams and rivers, and it's also taking away work for Albertans. So I think we have to look at that. I think, we have to look at spawning periods. I mean, I see on Facebook people showing fish that they've caught on a spawning bed. We just can't do that. Those fish aren't going to recover if you're taking females out of the water and hooking them. I mean, there's a recovery period, and it's got to hurt the population of fish, as we move forward. And with the added pressure, I mean, it's important that we have good spawning. And so, I mean, I don't know what the total answer is, Michael, but I really think the conversation has to be more than just, this coal mine is going to hurt fisheries in the area. So there would be those out there, Robin, that would maybe push back and say, well, if you're admitting that the rivers and streams are already under pressure, why then even consider, are we allowing a potential environmental issue with coal mining? Well, I don't think we are. And I mean, everybody's talking about selenium and, the issues. I look at Cardinal River where I worked and the Cheviot project. I heard these arguments, 25 years ago. And if you look at the McLeod River and you look at the headwaters of the Cardinal, those rivers are doing fine. And I think that when you look at the new mining technologies that are in place, all our plants are closed circuit, so we don't use as much water as we did years ago. Some of the mine projects are looking at waterless tailings. They're putting in new technologies that are happening every day to make sure that we keep things such as selenium under control. The argument that look what's going on in the Elk Valley is going to happen in the eastern slopes of the Rockies is comparing apples and oranges. The technologies are different. You've got 100 years of mining in the Elk Valley, and they did what they had to do with the technology that was in place. And I mean, Teck today is spending hundreds of millions of dollars on new technologies and getting the selenium issue under control. So, I have quite confidence in our industry that we will do the right things and that we'll make sure that we have good quality water and we have fish habitat so that we can do our part to improve the fisheries in the southwest corner of the province. What can you tell us about the life expectancy of these mines? And I guess what I'm getting there, Robin, is, I've heard upwards of 10 years, but what if it's 5 years? What if one of these mines is sold off to a smaller operator that can't afford or doesn't do the reclamation work? I mean, we're seeing that in the oil and gas sector right now with abandoned well sites across the province. What kinds of rules or commitments are in place? Is there maybe a bond that needs to be posted that could be used to help with reclamation? Well, we post bonds already, Michael. I mean, before we even start, we post a bond for reclamation. The government says yes, either yay or nay to whether that's enough money or not. So that's already looked after. And when you talk to the miners down in the southwest part of the province now that want to develop their mines, their reclamation plans are a lot different than they were, for example, when I was working in the industry. They're now reclaiming as they go. When you look at the plans, for example, for Grassy. So when I worked at Cardinal, we mined for 25 years. And then when we shut something down, then we did the reclamation. And we did a good job of it. But I mean, yes, there was a mess there for a while. Now, with new techniques and again, new technologies, you're going to see the reclamation move along as the mining moves along. And, you're looking at, Cardinal River, where I worked, was started in 1969. And it was a 15-year mine life. Today, this year was the 50th year of Cardinal River operating. So, down in the Crow's Nest area, we're looking at, most of them are saying about 25 years. That could change. And again, we're a commodity that we trade and sell on the world market. And so, prices go up and down, and we have to make sure that we're competitive and efficient so that we can continue to operate in the world markets. But we have a coal that's in high demand. It's got very low sulfur, very low ash, and it mixes well with other coals around the world. So, the argument that, we're not going to be there, as long as the industry is there and as long as the world's buying coal, we'll be producing it. But again, as I said earlier, we've already posted bonds to make sure that if something was to happen to that mine, the reclamation would continue.
So I guess I know you come from a fishing background. You've been a guide up in Jasper. How do you, I guess, at the end of the day, kind of get it square in your mind that mining and protecting some of these incredible streams along the Eastern Slopes is compatible?
Well, as I said earlier, we want to make sure that we have good quality water. We drink the same water everybody else does. We don't have a special, spot where we get our water as coal miners and the rest of the world gets the rest. I mean, we live in the area. We're going to want to recreate in the area. And so we're going to make sure that we do the right thing. We're going to make sure that, as I said earlier, the companies have approached the government. We want to be involved in stream and river enhancement. We want to be involved in making sure that we have a solid fisheries moving forward for future generations and for the people that are living there at the time. I mean, when I came out west to work in the coal mines, the reason I first started living in Hinton is because I liked the environment. I mean, I could hike, I could fish, I could hunt, I could trap, use an ATV. I mean, everything was there. Plus, my job was there. So we understand that. And we understand that, we want to make sure that when we're done mining, that we return the land back, in many cases, better than it was when we got there in the first place. So when I look at Tent Mountain, for example, most of that operation has already been mined. When I look at Grassy Mountain, 25% of that operation has been mined before. So, so we're going in with new technologies, basically, and going at coal that was left behind from, the early 1900s, so to speak.
I guess the final question is, when does this consultation process wrap up? And are you expecting, well, I guess no one really knows what's going to come out of it. We don't have a crystal ball, but your expectations?
Well, I think that Grassy Mountain has done an excellent job. I've been following the hearings. They've hired some very good people. I think that the joint panel is going to have a hard time not approving that operation. I know that there's lots of noise out there. That the vistas and all this are going to be ruined, and there's a lot of emotion right now. But I think at the end of the day, I think the panel is going to come down with a decision that if they decide the mine's going to go ahead, I think there's going to be issues that the mine's going to have to mitigate. The mine knows that. We as an industry know that we're doing things differently all the time, and we're learning all the time. and with new technologies and new science, we're investing in those technologies, and I have a lot of confidence in the industry. I mean, as a fisherman, I fish the Coal Valley is a perfect example, Michael. I don't know if you've been out there or not, but all those end pit lakes, those are trophy lakes now. And I was out there 2 weeks ago and drilling some holes and looking down. And when you see in rainbow trout 10 pounds swimming through your hole, you know that it's been a success story. And I'll say this also about Coal Valley and reclamation. I won't go out there in the summertime because you have to walk into those lakes and there's too many grizzly bears. I'm not going to walk out there, and I don't want to be lunch for some bear. The wintertime I'll go because the bears are hibernating. But again, this is a mine site that has been reclaimed. It's a great trout habitat, and it's great for grizzly bears, elk, and you'll see the same thing down in the Southwest BC, that when we're done mining, you're going to see abundant wildlife. You're going to see areas that have been reclaimed and are better off than some of them are now, because like I say, they're brownfield sites now. They're not sites that are pristine. So like I say, we're going to continue to work with the government. We'll take the decision of the panel, and we'll do what we have to do to make sure that we employ Albertans with good paying jobs.